Yeah, it's funny. Like I constantly think it's hilarious that the only mode that I don't know if other modes do this. I gotta think. Well, I guess Clams tells you to throw the thing into the basket, but I think it's funny
Yeah.
how like Rainmaker is much more go to the checkpoint. Like it's like an odd, like no matter how many times you play the game, it's like always going to tell you that. And it's funny because yeah, it's not like they say like paint the zone or like get on the tower or anything like that. But so it's almost like
Yeah.
there was like it almost feels like there was like some thought early on that they were going to help people. Oh, by the way, Kai, sorry for it because Decker was mid sentence, so I didn't want to say it then. But like, thanks for the raid.
Double right.
It almost feels like maybe early on they were going to have more sort of like in-game instruction, and they maybe didn't follow through on it for whatever reason, or they couldn't figure out how to do it, or they were just like they didn't have time. But it's weird because like, yeah, I mean they're kind of, I don't know what the solution is. I don't know. I mean, I guess this almost kind of leads into the other thing I was thinking, which is that I want to ask you about, which is like, it seems like there's this. They haven't come out right and said it, but it kind of seems like there's this push to make Splatoon more visible from their perspective, because they've like brought back. I thought they had done it for the first time, but apparently they had in the past. So they've like brought back the NA League late last year, right? And they have it on Twitch, when it's running, and they've started pushing their YouTube channel on it also. And I don't know if it's new, but they have an account called Nintendo Versus, which includes Splatoon and I think also Smash, maybe Mario Kart, for all I know. So it kind of seems like they're trying to. I don't know what the whole corporate strategy is, but it seems like they're trying to like bring more visibility to all this stuff, and that does sort of feel like it might overlap a little bit with like telling people how to play. And they don't even necessarily have to do it in game. Like it could be helpful videos in on YouTube or whatever,
like a channel. Actually, I like that idea. Like maybe they don't have to do anything on the game, right? Like to do like a special game mode that teaches you how to play all the game modes, and once you pass it, now you can say that you know how to play zones or whatever the hell. But actually, like a channel like Nintendo versus YouTube or something, and gives like tutorials. And like even they can even invite like actual top players. Like imagine the NA champs teaching us in their official channel how to like play clams optimally and all that. Like that would be so cool. Yeah, that's actually like a nice idea.
It's actually, I mean, the more I think about it, it's actually probably impractical to do it in game, because then they'll have some major update like 11.0, and how do you keep up with that? I mean, you can do a video, but like, which is interesting. Like, again, kind of a related thing. Like, where do you sit now after the dust has settled, like on the 11.0 update? So I'm sure everybody knows, but just like in case somebody's watching this later, there were three major things it brought. I mean, there's weapon changes, but there was three major things it brought. There was the HP bar for under certain circumstances. It's not visible all the time, but like certain circumstances. There's the nerfed stealth jump, which is if you have the stealth jump ability equipped, your travel time in air will be longer depending on the distance that you're traveling. And then there's the aura, which is, there's like this whole underlying system, but basically the better you're doing in the game, that you increase your chances of getting into this aura state, which has like boosted abilities. That's like very high level. And I think like you had a take a few days after it came out, but what do you think now? Like, is it overall, you think it was good?
I think the overall like 11.0, honestly, I'm okay with almost everything that was changed. I know well, let me go like one by one. Like the HP bar mechanic, fantastic. I love it so much. I think if I were to just like keep one thing out of all the things that they added, I will just keep the HP bar, because I think for me, I know for some others it's not that helpful and even gets in their way because they think it's like visual clutter. But like the HP bar for me has helped me so much to like even see people. Like for me actually works differently. Like I can actually see more thanks to the HP bar.
Yeah.
And like strategizing how to approach people, and like how to, especially with Slosher, because when I hit someone once, I do at the very least like half HP.
Right.
So if I know someone is super low, can just simply do one flick and like move to the next thing. So like it really helps me out to like optimize my gameplay better. So I love it. Stealth jump at first, not only me but also many other people in my chat were like so pessimistic about it. Like I
Ty,
was like, I
Ty
wanted
hated it. Kai hated it.
I still remember Ty wanted to quit so
Yeah.
bad. I don't know if he was genuine, but like it was kind of funny. Not gonna lie.
A lot of
like,
wilting
even
roses.
I was, because like I was like, no freaking way, why they do this? It felt so unnecessary. But the more I play it, yeah, he was so aggravated. Like he said, and like, but like. Yeah, but the more I play it, the more I realize it's not really a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, I actually, the more I think about it, like, the more I understand why they did it, because, like, yeah, like, stealth jump has almost doesn't really have that many downsides outside of, like, yeah, if they are close to you,
Yeah.
when you are, like, if they are towards the point that you are jumping, like, they can see you. But outside of that, like, it's almost like a must to use in most cases,
Yeah.
because like it's just such a big advantage to not be seen from miles away, especially when there is like a lot of incentive to be using chargers like Eliter or Pen or
Yeah.
stuff, that they can see you when you are jumping and just hit you. So at least there has to be some sort of drawback, and I think they thought it like decently well, because like most people abuse stealth jump by like jumping towards their teammates that were like already doing a very like extensive push,
Yeah.
or pressure or like spawn cam and whatever, and they were able to get away with it because like they were jumping kind of fast and undetected. Now at least they are jumping a little bit slower, which like I think is a good balance. And also this also doesn't affect many other players like the backlines and such like that and stuff like that, because they don't even
Yeah.
run like that ability in the first place. And I think another thing was, I think they also make some changes in the hitboxes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was
If you
the other thing.
recall,
Yeah.
like
I forgot to mention
made
that. Yeah.
so that the hit detection and the hurt boxes and hitboxes were like different.
Yeah, it's we should. I mean, again, for people that don't like aren't super dialed in, I forget to describe that one. So they did two related changes. One was the hitboxes in the human form was a bit bigger, and then the hitboxes in ink in squid form was a bit smaller. But in addition to that, the bullet size changed for all weapons, but it changed in a greater way for the long range. Well, I mean, I guess maybe that's a weird way to say it. The long range weapons got a more modest increase, and the short range weapons got a significant bullet size increase. So like dapples and sploosh and everything like that. And I heard it. I don't remember like where I heard it. Maybe it was ProChar or something. I don't know. Somebody said like that was meant to incentivize people to play short range weapons more, whereas the game is kind of dominated by mid and long range.
Mid-long, yes.
What do you? I mean, just to follow, like, what do you think about that specific change?
So far in my experience, I have very little input on that, because I'm kind of like a one trick or two trick. Like I play very few weapons, and those that I play didn't get that much benefit from that. Like I play Slosher, and sometimes even Dualis, and for me they feel kind of the same.
Yeah.
But like when it comes to like the experience that I've heard from like actual sniper players or like short range mains like Dapples or like blaster players even and such, the chargers, I think some of them I like were kind of like bumped out, because it was kind of hard to get kills as it was before. But I think like the people who are like devoted like one tricks to like the class, like meaning like actual e-leader mains or like pen mains or like Splarscope mains, whatever, I think they probably are fine still. Like I don't think they have to drop the weapon or whatever because it's unviable or anything, or useless. And like the short range ones, I think I'm glad that they did something to like incentivize using them, because they were struggling a little bit. And I think the bigger winners of that were like Dapples, probably Sploosh, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so, yeah.
And other weapons. I think you said that when you play like Dapples, like you actually felt
it was weird, because the first day, and I don't know what to attribute this to, but the first day I immediately felt a difference, and I wasn't really expecting it, honestly, but I immediately felt a difference. But then weirdly, I don't know, there's like so many factors, right? Like, but weirdly, like a week later, it didn't really seem to have the same predictability that it did earlier. And the most likely scenario there is that after the update, there were way more people online. And that increases the chances that you're going to get somebody geographically close to you to get like accurate synchronization. And it's possible that a week later, I don't know if this is the case, it's just like speculation. It's possible that a week later, the difference was removed because there weren't as many people playing and it was more likely to get connected with people in Japan. So that sort of, it kind of ended up being a wash or whatever. Now that said, I'm guessing if I went back to pre 11.0, I would notice the difference immediately. So maybe I just got used to it. Let me, by the way, like I haven't really keeping up with, let's see like if anybody brought anything up here. That's worth bringing up. Yeah. So Kai read it. Here, let me start the next one. I'll just kind of pick some things out. And if you see anything, like feel free to call it up. But even as a casual player, this is Hims, even as a casual player who kind of wants to improve in the game, I have to do research on my own. Oh yeah, this is the thing about like the game doesn't really tell you what to do. Here, let me bring one of these up.
The HP bars helps me so much. Yeah, like I think it's just so useful.
Some NA player. By the way, I think I fixed Decker's audio, so let me know if that's not the case. I'd say some NA. This is from Jack. Some NA players have crazy best of best players, but it's also random because some players feel like alternating accounts from NA to JP. Oh, that's interesting. It gets insanely difficult at 4,000 XP. I guess I didn't even think about that. So you could have an alt that's on Takaroka.
Yeah, but like you will have to pay twice.
Yeah, sure. Hims also said going blind into Overwatch with how big the map is can be so daunting. Literally have to watch videos. Yeah, it's probably pretty common that everybody has that same experience, I'm guessing. What else came up here? I thought I saw something else.
Also helps I guess players from being too reckless with stealth jumps. Yeah, like at least you have now to think twice when you jump, even if you have stealth jump. Yeah.
Oh, Kamuso, hello, konnichiwa. Yeah, we're just talking about the game pretty much, and like, actually, so I have a question. So like, what do you? Well, actually, you know, I was going to ask something, but like before I get into that, so you've been playing. Oh, sorry, yeah.
There's just one other thing that we haven't mentioned about the patch.
Yeah.
Like the 11 version of which are like the weapon changes.
Yeah.
Which I think are like the most relevant ones.
And
I just something very worth mentioning here, and it might become like as a hot take maybe.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe some people might even say that I'm a hypocrite or whatever. But like even though I despise how Dynamo is right now.
We should probably say what it is real fast. So like the most visible one. I mean, there were a few, but the most visible ones are like I think by 20% or something increase the paint output from heavy, something along those lines, and like the net paint output, like the numbers on paper sound different, but like I think effectively it's like 20% paint increase, and then dramatic improvements to Dynamo. Like in terms of reach and paint and like death radius and like it's basically a new weapon.
They tried to tone it down by nerfing its
ink efficiency. Yeah.
But
didn't matter.
Just like one fling or something that you could easily overcome by just using appropriate gear.
Oh, and I guess notably they also accidentally nerfed Rapid Pro.
Rapid Pro, that was so funny.
It was like it clearly there was like an engineering mistake, and like they snuck a change intended for the next update in where it nerfed by like I think 3 shots or something Rapid Pro, but then strangely also increased the paint output from regular Rapid. So, but they said like, this was a mistake, but we're gonna leave it in. Basically, that was kind of funny. But what were you gonna say about the Dynamo and Heavy probably?
Yeah, before I say that, like this also kind of opened up to me like the idea that they maybe have a long list of changes of buffs and nerfs of every weapon that they could do. Yeah. And they just simply release them based on like how the meta shifts depending on like
probably. I mean, so like it's to me I guess it's always tempting to look at things through your own personal experiences. So having worked on huge software projects personally, the way it worked when I was working on them is that you have a bunch of different sort of branches of changes. and you're responsible. Let's say, I'm just going to make this up. It's probably not this way, but just like as an example, there's some team responsible for like the weapon specs themselves, and there's some people responsible for the maps and like all the division up that way. So probably what happened is they were working on an upcoming update that was going to change the blasters along with everything else. And so basically what we're talking about is there was 11.0.1. Now, the interesting thing is there was a bug, or there were like a couple related bugs that were introduced in 11.0 related to S-Blast, where the sound fired wrong or something. It was like very minor. It was essentially cosmetic stuff. But
I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, I don't play S-Blast, so I didn't notice it. But there clearly was like some mistake, and they fixed it. But I think probably what happened is the changes in sort of the blaster section of the code base intended just to fix S-Blast swept up these other like efficient or like balance changes. And so when they submitted it to the bigger project, and this is the way it tends to work in software projects that are large, it's like, you've got people working on smaller bits. Yeah, you've got some background in this. But for anybody that doesn't know, like, you don't just always work on the giant thing on big projects. You work on a little small part of it, and then you submit it up to the bigger project. And so probably what happened is somebody lost track of what they were actually working on in one of their little sections. And then when they submitted the fix, it swept up this other stuff. So it was unintended, they said. And so they probably have, probably a list, like you're saying, they have a list of things they might do. But I think in this case, it was in progress and it was intended to come later, but then they just lost track of it. But yeah, sorry, I keep interrupting you. What were you going to say?
Yeah, just to know, like, keep it long. I'm just gonna just say my like a resume of like my thoughts on general on the patch. Like, even though I hate how Dynamo works right now and how stupid like Heavy is, like they're super obnoxious.
Yeah.
Like, despite all of that, I'm happy that they are adding more options to use in general.
Yeah.
Like,
because Heavy didn't feel that different than Edit, right?
Yeah, and like, if you were to ask me 2 months ago which weapon you should play if you are kind of like a backline, I would tell you, no, just stick to like Pen.
Yeah.
Or at most E-Leader, because other backlines are kind of worthless.
Yeah.
Like, there is no point on using them because they're either weak or they don't have good kits. And now this patch came, and now actually like using Dynamo is like a legit option.
Yeah.
And like Heavy, even though it's kind of used only on zones, I always thought like Heavy was decent, like just basic at least.
Yeah.
So like,
you actually knew it was going to get buffed, right?
Yeah, I predicted it, which is kind of crazy. And I think there is, I think I like the idea that they're like adding more options to like experiment and to explore.
Yeah,
also,
absolutely.
The regular blaster got like a tiny buff.
Oh, that's true. The frame, 2 frames, yeah.
2 frame, a 2 frame faster shot speed, I think it was.
Yeah.
That while not big in the grand scheme of things, I think it incentivizes people to try the weapon and realize that, I mean, it's not that bad. It's kind of solid.
Yeah.
So I mean, I liking this because this is just turning the game into like a more, how can I say, like diverse competitive experience compared to like other games where, like, for instance, Splatoon 1, people were just spamming Leader, Luna, and I guess like Suka. I'm just giving a little background because I know you have no
I haven't played
much
one.
experience.
Yeah.
And in Splatoon 2, it was like it was a little bit more bearable, but like it was heavily dominated by like Stingray weapons and like bubble weapons or bubble blower weapons and like missile spam. So it was super centralized in just one thing for the most part. And now in this game, you could argue it's cooler. Like right now, the thing, but I don't think people can find cooler as obnoxious or as like over centralized compared to the other options that were in Splatoon 1 and 2, because like running more coolers doesn't really give you more of an edge. Like, you just need one, and from that you can start building whatever you want. You can have like an edit, or you can have a leader, or you can have a dynamo. Like, there is a lot of options. Like, right now there is not a reason to like be running kind of like the same thing, in my opinion. But
it's funny you're mentioning the like weapons the weapon diversity. It's interesting because the two kind of when Splat first came out, it wasn't popular, right? It wasn't considered that strong,
No.
and it took a good long while. Like the kit helped, right? The second kit, but like even then, I don't think it didn't immediately take off when the second kit came out, did it?
Before it wasn't as strong because pre-patch it didn't have a buff that kind of helped it out
Oh,
to have a little bit of blast
it
radius.
worked.
It worked, and like now people are just.
It's? I think Kai said something about it. Is the reason Decaf fell off because of S-Blast? Because Decaf was like the number 2 weapon.
Yeah, I think it could be because like I can see S plus shutting down like Decaf
Oh well, that's
so
interesting.
heavily.
That's one way to think about it. I guess I thought maybe S-Blast replaced Decaf.
No, I think both of those weapons have different roles.
Interesting.
I think S plus is more it's more like control ground based and like AOE like hitting on like ledges or like corners and all that. Decap is more like a skirmisher or like a weapon that tries to draw attention to you and like
That's funny.
hide in places or like kind of like be like a stealthy stealthy assassin. Whereas S plus is just like a regular midliner.
That's funny. I had thought that Decaf was just considered a Slayer, like straight out Slayer, and then S-Blast, because it kills so much, was kind of. I mean, maybe the positioning's different, but the net result I thought was supposed to be the same between them, where you're just constantly taking people out with either weapon. But I mean, this is my naive. I have nothing to base that on other than like my impression, and so I got the impression. I mean, I guess both can be true. Like it could be that S-Blast takes out Decaf, and maybe some people that were playing Decaf realized for their purposes it may work better to play S-Blast. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. The other one though, the other thing I was going to bring up, kind of related to that, is like even before 11.0, purple dapples kind of started taking off, right? Or just like dapples in general.
You mean the red ones? Like
Yeah,
the ones
or
that
yeah,
have
red.
color?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Ironically, but
Yeah.
it didn't like that wasn't necessarily due to a buff, right? They just like it just sort of emerged.
I think the same thing. People started experimenting more, and they realized, I mean, you could use this sometimes, somewhere, and it goes to the same point that I'm liking that there is not like such a limited pool of options that you can use to like improve at the game or like get good results that in previous games.
Yeah.
And like overall, like the direction of like the balancing for me, in my opinion, I think is nice, and I'm liking what they're doing so far. Even though I hate with my guts Dynamo, and like,
Oh, yeah.
I still feel like they might have to tone it down a little
I
bit.
feel like they might. Yeah, and part of the reason I say that is because again, like it's interesting being able to like read JP Splatoon Twitter. Is like there definitely seems to be people that are really unhappy with it, and I don't think they put it all the way back to where it was, but you know they might like just tone it down a little bit, kind of in the way that. Like I think this is all this is like my naive take. If they just tweak the fall off a little bit so that it's not such a huge radius where it's instant death, I think that probably would be enough.
Yeah,
because it just feels like it's a bit much.
Yeah, keep the paint and I guess the range, but like the fall off of like it just hits you in the corner and does 100 damage. Like nah, that has to go.
Yeah.
Like that's so stupid. Yeah.
I have a sort of like a separate-ish question. Like what like inspired you to go into overfishing?
Oh, okay. So, I would say,
actually, I should say sorry for everybody else that's like not super like into Splatoon or whatever. So like, there's most people play the PvP mode or like that. That's where most of the activity is in the game. But then there's a separate PvE mode, which is Salmon Run, which is kind of comparable in some ways to like Left 4 Dead. It's like horde mode, and like the main mechanic is that you're collecting eggs for like a higher score. And so overfishers are the ones that don't just try to clear the map, but actually like try to get very high scores.
Okay, so when it comes to like choosing why I did like overfishing or why I'm attempting to do it, mainly because like I don't really like focusing on just one area of the game.
Yeah.
Most of the games that I play, I like to experiment a little bit of everything is there to offer. Like for instance, I don't know, like when it comes to like I don't really talk about this too much, but like I really like to play like a lot of sandbox games. I like
Yeah, me too.
outside of
Yeah.
Splatoon.
Yeah.
Like I like to play Minecraft.
Yeah.
Now I'm very into Hytale, even though I haven't played for a long time because I'm very busy.
Yeah.
But
Same.
like I like to like explore with the vast range of things that
Yeah.
a game can offer, and all the communities that are within them. So like for Splatoon, like the aspect of playing like Salmon Run in general, like feels like playing a new game for me, and and I've noticed that when I play, no, when I watch other like overfishers that are so talented, like my friend Ika, my Jaggy, my goat, and other people like Steak
Aegis.
and stuff like
Yeah.
that, Aegis and stuff like that. I see what they do, and I get excited.
Yeah.
And I say, oh my god, that's so cool that you are getting like 80, 90, almost 100 eggs on one way. I'm like, wow, this is task.
Yeah.
There is no way this is like human.
Yeah.
And then you get into the intrinsics of how it works, and then you get excited. You say, oh my god, I want to try it, and it goes on like that, and then I ended up just liking it, and now like it's something that I want to like expand on, and also like sometimes playing a lot of PvP frustrates me.
Yeah.
Especially if
Yeah,
you
that's
make
true.
it.
Yeah. I kind of wonder
So,
if that's
like-
maybe part of the reason they have it they pushed it in 3, because like rather than having people give up on the game because they get frustrated with PvP, it's like they can still keep them in the game, you know, and give them like something else to do. I don't know
Yeah,
if that was
I
the
think that's the
intention, but
point,
it seems like
I think it was.
It's funny. So like Silent Mongoose asked that when are we going to get PvPVE mode? And Lisa's like, how would that even work? It's interesting. There was a game like 2 or 3 years ago that Capcom had. It might even still be live now, but I played it like 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was called Exoprimal, and it was an interesting concept. It was like the base of it was PVE in the sense, and like the conceit of it is ridiculous. It's like it's like a hero shooter kind of, so kind of along the lines of like Marvel Rivals or Overwatch or whatever, but it's third person. I think it's third person. I'm trying to remember, but
Exoprimal, you say?
yeah, but it was
Okay, I'm trying to look it up.
the story and the conceit of it was really funny because it was like there was time traveling and it was like the future, but also the hordes of dinosaurs that came out of like portals that you had to take out, and so the hordes were just like dinosaurs. It was like total chaos, mayhem, fair amount of fun. But the interesting mechanic it had is that like you were primarily doing PvE, but there was, in most modes, there was another PvP or PvE team playing the same map at the same time. And you wouldn't, depending on which version of the game you decided to play, like you would either directly encounter them as you were going, or you would not really encounter them, but they could use certain specials to cross over and sort of interact with you, like basically embody a dinosaur and like try to take you out, and then they would get ripped back. Almost like an extreme version of Zipcaster, right? Where like you like kind of you can temporarily like transport yourself and then you get pulled back. But then there was another version which was you did not encounter the other team at all until the very end of the round. And so you basically would run a full PvP mode full PvE mode. And then the last step, the final boss or whatever, was the other team. And you would win the match if you did all the PvE stuff and also beat the other team. So it can be done. I don't know if that whole concept would translate to Splatoon, but it is kind of interesting. Like, I think they've shown us that they're willing to experiment, you know? So like it's not out of their own possibility that they could do something like that.
The first thought that comes to my mind, and also we can talk about like ideas for Salmon Run maybe if there is time or in another time. But the first thought that comes to my mind, like, what if there is a way that they can make a game mode where like the salmonids like are controlled by a player?
Yeah.
And the opponents are like the normal like fishers.
Yeah.
And like there could be also now a layer of like difficulty, because now there is like what you mentioned, or what the way that you coin it, or like the way that you like mention it, like there's gonna be now a psychology level to it. Like I think that would be kind of cool.
There was the
way that you described that game, it could fit.
I haven't played much like Left 4 Dead, but from what I remember, there was something like that where you could like embody one of the monsters. But there was also a game, and this is like this was like a very indie game, and it was like 10 years ago. But there was a game called Crawl, like, you know, crawl on the floor, crawl. that the entire conceit of the game was what you're describing. So like there was one, like if you played with 4 people, it was like local co-op only, so there was no internet stuff, but it was like one person was like the hero, and the other 3 players would play like as the traps, or like basically as ghosts, you know, and you would like you would haunt the player by going into the traps or going to the monsters and controlling the monsters. And at the end of each round, you would like level up Pokemon style. You would level up your monsters. And the way it worked is like during a round, if you killed the hero, you would then become the hero. And you would run through the map as long as you could until potentially getting to the final boss for the map. And in the final boss map of the map, you would have one player, like for example, you'd have like one player controlling one giant arm, the other player controlling the other giant arm, and the other controlling the head. And so the 3 players would be going against the one sort of hero player. So it's a very interesting concept. I don't think like this would directly translate to Splatoon, but yeah, it would be kind of funny if like you could do a mode where like you're the stinger, or like
that was so funny.
That actually, there is something there, like that kind of that something about that is like really fun. But
and also because like I also is still like going over like the idea of one playing like overfishing or doing all that.
Yeah.
It's also I always felt like Salmon Run was like my weakest point, and I still feel it is. Like I still have a lot of things to learn and to improve and all that. And sometimes in order to like empathize with a certain sector of the community, it's best that you like dive into what you do.
True.
And like if you were to ask me 1 year ago what I thought about Salmon Run, I would be like 90% of like the clueless PvP players that have a very stereotypical approach to Salmon Run, which is it's just the mini game that nobody cares about and it's just so worthless.
Yeah.
But now the more I play it, the more I understand like the grind that comes with it. Like the more I appreciate the community, especially I would say like I still think the Salmon Run community is like way more nicer than PvP.
Oh yeah.
Some people say that that's not the case. That there is some people that are way too like passionate about like impressing with their score and whatever. And I mean, I'm not gonna get into that because I don't know, and it's not about that. But
you're fundamentally cooperating. Like it's obviously it's different because you're not going against people, right?
So for me, I think naturally the vibe is gonna be more amicable.
Yeah.
So like not only that, I also was able to understand like how great this game mode is and what things could be brought to it, so it can be better. Because Salmon Run deserves so much more that it has. Like it's crazy that still to this year there's still just one game mode, right? Like, which is like the normal one, and I understand why Salmon Runners get so excited with things like Big Run or Extra Work, even though some people like one or the other more, but whatever. Because like it is just so uncommon for events to happen in the game.
Yeah, it's super true.
So I wish there were more things like kind of like how they're in PP, like more game modes, maybe more challenges or stuff like that.
It's actually wild that I didn't even really internalize the fact until I sort of intellectually knew it, but I didn't think about the fact that up until whatever a few weeks ago, Salmon Run was the only thing still getting new events. You know, because extra work. What do I mean? Like there's no new Splatfests, but there's been new extra works this whole time.
True. Well, true. Actually, true.
It's kind of funny.
And now that's done too.
Now that's done too. Yeah, which is interesting. I mean, like, it doesn't seem like it would take that much work to add new ones, but I guess at some point they're just like, okay, we should probably like focus on new stuff. By the way, real quick, like going back just a bit, what did Kai say? Oh, it was about decav. Kai just said that they learned how to play against decav, so it's just slow.
Yeah, like decav has so many like windows of like opportunity to hit because like it just takes too long to do everything.
Yep.
And I think people are getting better at the matchup, so naturally the weapon is just like
and it telegraphs like crazy too. Like
I still feel it's strong.
Yeah. Oh, it's still strong. Yeah, but it's like for not like the upper level or whatever. By the way, like I'm curious what you think about. I don't know. This is probably a large part of this is me not having a ton of experience. But do you feel like there's things in the game, like let's say game mechanics, you know, like the way people play or like the way people can leverage weapons or leverage maps, where people it's not hacks per se, but they're like almost like exploits in the game as it is now, that's not really what the developers intended, but in some ways it's kind of like required at higher levels, but it's really difficult for mid and low level players to deal with it. Does any of this sound familiar? Because I can give you some examples, but I don't know. Does any of this sound familiar? Like an example might be like the way the way that sploosh players will often like go in and out of ink like crazy fast, and it feels like it kind of breaks the targeting system in a way that maybe was not intended by the developers, but it's so ingrained in the way people play the game at a high level that
So yeah, I was literally just about to mention it, and like Squirrel just coined it out, and I think that like what you're describing, it will be substrafing will be the perfect example for this. I'm not even sure if you like are familiar with the mechanic.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
But like there is some sort of exploit in the way that movement works in the game, and how you can manipulate the momentum on when you're like swimming by pressing the R button, which is, I think it was the R button.
The bomb button. Yeah.
And it's always check.
I know.
Is the R button? Yes.
The shoulder one. Yeah.
Which is the one that you throw your bomb with.
Yeah.
But holding it while also like timing your like swim, so that you can switch the speed in which you are heading towards to the opposite side that you are like putting your stick. So I noticed that like the lower level you are less likely to even do that, because you don't, first of all, you don't know it.
Yeah.
And second of all, you kind of don't find it that useful. But the higher you go into the level, you are going to realize that like almost all good players are using it.
Yeah.
Like no matter what weapon you're using, no matter what playstyle you have, roll, everybody's substrafing. And I guess in a sense, you could say that's kind of unfair, because like it's something that experienced players are doing, and like me as someone who is new is not doing, and is not capable of doing. I feel like I'm falling behind. But I think like when you're starting out, like half of the time people are not playing well, right? Like they are not aiming well, they don't know how to position themselves well, and most of the time they win by just being able to like exploit like one strategy.
Yeah.
And that's, I think that's part of like just improving in any game. Like at first you have no idea what you're doing, and then when you progress you kind of have an idea what you're doing, because you are just doing one thing and it works, so you keep doing it. And the more you level up, the more you realize there is multiple things to be doing, and you need to know how to switch between them and all that. Like there's more layers into that.
Couldn't you?
So I feel like.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish. Yeah.
So I feel like the example of like substrafing, not knowing how to do it right now is not something that is gonna fall you behind to win in your current games with your current skill. Because there is way many more important things that you need to get better at before even thinking about like applying substrafing. There will be a point where you are potentially more ready to implement it, but like right now, I don't think me substrafing is what is making me be better than most players. Like I think it's many other things that like are lost in the sauce, if that makes sense.
It's funny, like hearing you describe that, it's not too different than the state that Stealth Jump was in before the nerf, right? In the sense that as I understand it, I'm like not of this caliber of player, but like people were abusing the system basically to not to go from one place on the map to the other to re-enter the battle, but basically, as I understand it again, they were jumping into a fight, doing some damage, and then immediately jumping out before they were at risk of getting killed, like constantly. And
I mean, true.
Yeah. And I wonder if like, and it's not exactly the same, but it is interesting because substrafing, it feels to me, just thinking from like a software design implementation perspective, it feels like it's a side effect. The fact that you're pretending to throw a bomb, and you're getting like some side effect from that feels weird, a little bit like imagine trying to explain that to somebody, coming in cold, basically saying, I'm not saying it's like a good or bad thing. I'm just like, it's an interesting example of like something that's kind of in that gray area where it's not technically an exploit, but it does feel like it's a little bit, it doesn't feel like it feels very clunky as like a game mechanic, because it's like it's just the side effect of something else rather than being like compared to like squid roll, where it's like a very clearly like modeled thing that works a certain way, or like even super jump, which is like used in a very specific way. But I don't know. It's just interesting. I guess like you also see a version of this, not exactly substrafing, but like sploosh players that just, particularly in like Takaroka, where I've seen it, is like they advance in enemy ink without ever actually really painting the ground, like just barely painting the ground in those little like splotches or whatever. But then doing that and then like a combination of like going in and out of ink where the targeting system seemingly breaks sometimes on sploosh.
Yeah.
But that could be also lag related a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That was what I was to say. I think that could be more like lag or like issues with the system, but like not really. I mean, people might even exploit it because there is ways to like exploit like being laggy.
Yeah.
Because like there is lag switching and stuff like that, but like that's more of a like how can I say, like not everybody can do it, if that makes sense. Like some people don't have the resources or don't have the capability to actually like kind of like cheat, because I consider that to be cheating, right? Because like it's something that is interfering in everybody's gameplay.
Yeah.
And it's giving you an actual edge and advantage that nobody can control. Substrafing, I don't think it's like that because everybody can do it.
Sure.
It's something that everybody can learn, and it doesn't really give you that much of a big edge. It just makes your gameplay more like fluid, and like it just gives you an extra option. I don't know if you have experience with Smash Bros. Or
Not,
like
I mean, barely. Yeah.
I don't know if you have heard the term of wave dashing.
No.
Or no, not at all. Well, so there is something kind of similar. It's not the same, but it's kind of similar to substrafing in Smash Bros. That is called wave dashing in Super Smash Bros. Melee, which is the game that came out in the GameCube, which is like a technique that you can do by exploiting like a dodgy mechanic that you have in the game that allows you to slide in the ground.
Oh, yeah.
And some characters have better wave dashes than others and all that. And like that was clearly a mechanic that was not intended in the game, right? Like that's something that the players realized you can do, and it gives you an extra option in the game. So in my opinion, that's kind of like that, because the devs didn't like anticipated for that to happen, but like it's just so ingrained into the game that like telling someone to not wave dash in Melee is kind of like telling them to like just play blindfolded or almost. Like it's so integral to the gameplay that almost making a change right now
would break it.
I mean, you cannot do anything on Melee because it's already old, right?
Yeah, the game's like established.
Yeah. But like in the case of Splatoon, like if we were to do something on Substrafe, you will see a insane amount of people complaining.
But isn't that like stealth jump? Do you think it's different than stealth jump?
No, I think stealth jump is different because like with stealth jump you don't require that much thought. You just put it and that's it.
But I mean
with
the change, but specifically the changes they made. Like if you when you originally heard about it, or like I don't know, how do I want to say this? Like, do you think when people heard about the stealth jump change, and then also like Ty, right? Like for the first day, like that reaction, I'm not even saying they're going to like make changes to substrate. I'm just like philosophically, it's like an interesting area. Because I think there's certain things, let's say in Splatoon specifically, where people are like, well, they'll never change that. But I think that they proved in 11.0 that there's no hard rules on that. Like they're willing to change.
I mean, true.
A lot of stuff. Yeah. And I don't know. It's also, I think to some degree, this is just coming from like the bigger thing is just like, it feels like the game has been out so long, and because there aren't like significant changes, prior to 11.0, that people just have like hyper overlearned the game in the sense that it's harder. It's like all the skill levels compressing into like the upper end, right? So like if you're coming into the game and there's all the stuff that's like undocumented or like secret or like, hard to learn or whatever, it's like hard to progress, to some degree.
I think I'm getting you.
Yeah.
I think I'm getting you now. So
go ahead. Sorry.
For that, I would say I think I wouldn't be mad if they adjust the game so that things like soft strafing don't exist anymore. If they make some sort of like alternative that everybody can use and that is clearly documented for everybody.
Do you think Squid Roll covers that?
Not really.
No.
Not really, because like the difference between squid rolling, in my opinion, squid rolling to like substrafing, is that like substrafing is kind of like more immediate and but short distance, whereas squid roll is more long distance, but there is a window of like opportunity for like people to hit you because like you're squid rolling, right?
Yeah.
And you jump,
Yeah.
right? Like you are rolling and you cannot move from this animation, right? So people that have experience can see where you are landing
Yeah.
and just simply attack you or something like that.
True.
Uh, going back to Smash, I think they did something similar that
Oh,
what you
really?
are kind of like alluding, which is like with short hopping. Before, in order to like make, because in Smash you can jump, right?
Yeah.
And jump and make aerial attacks.
Yeah.
Uh, if you wanted to make the shortest jump possible, you needed to tap your jump like this and then press A on a specific timing so that your aerial could come out as fast as possible, right? This kind of left like some sort of like skill gap between like the very low level players towards like the more experienced ones. So what they did in Ultimate was they did a macro so that if you just simply hold the X and the A at the same time and input like a like your stick, you already do that the input, like you already do the attack as fast as possible. They documented it, like they explain it as a mechanic, and pretty much everybody can do that now. It like reduced the skill ceiling, but I still feel like the good players are still good and are still way superior than others than the other ones because they have way more other skills that they have developed. So that's why I'm saying like if they were to remove substrafing or make it so much simpler to execute, I think it's fine on me. And if they document it and all that, I think it's fine so long as there is an alternative
Yeah.
that does the same thing. And that's it. I just don't want them to remove things that are already working. And that's all that I'm saying.
Yeah, that's
And that
interesting. Yeah,
don't
if there's a way,
break-
yeah,
they don't really break the game.
if there's a way to like do that didn't involve pretending to throw a bomb, you know, I think it's kind of what you're saying, right? Like you could, as an example,
Yeah,
like
for example-
this isn't all about substrafing, but it was just kind of like more general. Yeah, that's an interesting approach.
Yeah.
It's like make it official.
Like, for instance, Ryan,
Effective.
what Ryan is saying is like she abuses self-strafing with Rapid because I think Rapid needs it.
Yeah.
Rapid, like when it shoots, is so committed to like staying on the ground.
Yeah.
That like there is an alternative to self-strafing, which is just shooting
Yeah.
and canceling your shooting animation to like swimming again. I think everybody can do that as well, but like it's not as beneficial as self-strafing, especially for weapons that like are like blasters because they shoot, they stay on ground, and they can swim again. They're not like shooters that they can shoot and get to the ground
Yeah.
immediately. So like I think it is important to have that mechanic because it just benefits almost every weapon. And like if we were to remove it, I think it will be more harm than good, in my opinion.
That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, it's also the thing Hims is saying. I use it so much with Clash. I think I use it almost as much, maybe a little more than squid rolls. Never used to be able to substrafe. I think it also takes a decent amount of practice to get used that muscle memory.
And
Yeah, I think
muscle memory.
and I think all that stuff is good. Like if there's something, I think it just comes down to is it feel like an exploit to do this thing?
I mean, it is.
Yeah.
It is definitely an exploit.
Give me
for sure.
sorry, give me just like 10 seconds. I'm gonna move my cat 1 sec.
Okay, sure. Your Mao attacking. Asking for attention. Yo, chat, how are we feeling about the podcast? W or L? Are we liking it or not? I don't even know if you can hear me.
All right, sorry about that.
Yeah, like what Ty is saying, like movement will be insanely stiff if main strafing was gone. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I just think there is things that our exploits were not intended to be done, but I think are like Bob Ross says, are silly little like funny mistakes that I think overall make
happy accidents.
Happy accidents, yeah. That's happy accidents that make the art of making games so good and so great because, like, also the gamers or like the players contribute to like the development of the game by playing and
totally
exploiting as much as we can of many other things. So yeah.
I have a question, like, kind of a separate topic. I'm kind of curious. Like, what do you think? Raider, like Splatoon. So I guess again for anybody that's like not super in this world, last June, it was like that long ago. Last June, Nintendo announced
almost 2 years.
Yeah,
It's
well,
2 years,
almost
I think.
a year. Yeah,
Year and a half, almost year and a half.
no, it's not been even a year because it came out when it was announced slightly after Switch 2. So it was like 9-10 months ago at most. Raiders, we're talking about. Switch has not been out a year.
No, wasn't. Wait, are we talking about Raiders?
Raiders, yeah, Splatoon Raiders is
Wasn't
not.
it announced on February?
It would no. It was announced June, so end of June, beginning of July. So not a year.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
But
okay,
anyway, so like they didn't say what it's a single player spin-off game. I don't know if they explicitly said single player. Now I'm trying to remember, but it was like a spin-off game, clearly more single player focused. I don't know if it means there's zero multiplayer. But there's not been any information other than that one teaser. This is the best thing you could call it. It wasn't even a trailer. And like they don't even tell you what the genre is.
Nothing.
and
don't know anything.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Like it's Switch 2 only, and I'm curious. Like, what do you think the game is, and like what do you think it is, or what do you want it to be?
In terms of gameplay, I'm not really like I don't have really a specific desire or whatever. I just want the game to be good, right, and fun. Like I don't want a specific genre, if that makes sense. But when it comes to like, I guess story wise, if that's like worth mentioning, I would like for Splatoon Raiders to be more of a story tale about salmonids, I think. Because we know very little about the salmonid race, and like since the setting is about like islands, and if you think about it a little bit, on Salmon Run we are playing on like little isolated islands that are covered by like swamp or whatever that water is. That maybe at some point, with thanks to this game, we are gonna be able to expand on the knowledge of like what other creatures exist in the world. And overall, just enjoy the game and like the IP and what it has to offer and all that, because like that's another thing that like I haven't mentioned too much also about what I love Splatoon and exploring too much about it. It's like I also like the lore about the game. Like I like the aesthetic of it. I like to know about like the new idols and all that. I'm a how's it called? I'm a Splatoon fan at heart, I would say. So I'm more interested in how they, like the direction of like how the story of the game is gonna lead towards, rather than that like the kind of gameplay that they can do. So long as it is good, right? So I think you could give a better input because I think you have more like experience, I guess, on games or stuff.
It's funny because the lore thing to me is like so foreign because I never played 1. I didn't play like story mode.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, I didn't play story mode at all in 2. So the first story anything I ever played was 3. And coming into that point, it feels like there was a lot of stuff established that I just didn't have any like backstory on. You know, like I didn't grow up with it or whatever. But in terms of the gameplay, based on the setting and based on what because they've hinted a few things. They've hinted like the main character is like a mechanic, which definitely suggests like crafting, right? Crafting, like building. True. And they talked about like the base is like a big thing. So my first instinct is to say it's something like Subnautica, where you have like an open world, you know, maybe not literally an open world, but something along those lines, like open zones. And it's like a survival craft kind of thing, in the sense that you can build stuff, you can craft weapons, let's say, or craft, you know, tools or abilities, and you go out and find stuff. So I sort of assumed, awesome. Particularly based on, and I feel like they may have shown like a submarine in the trailer,
like the robot-like thing that that is like in the shore or something like that. Yeah, I think you can get inside of that or something like that.
Yeah, and
I don't know,
because like underwater, like water is famously an extremely difficult thing to model technically, and on Switch 1 it was like basically impossible. I mean, it's like, at least to do in the way that you would want. And so, and I think that's maybe how they kind of back themselves into having the lore that you can't swim. But if you have
I mean, that could make sense.
Yeah, but if you have like a mini sub, then that kind of removes that as like an obstacle, right? And so I could see kind of a Subnautica take on it, and I think that would actually be amazing. The other possibility, and I think it's the name suggests it's more likely, but from like a game design perspective, maybe a little less likely, is they might do something like an extraction shooter. So there's like, Arc Raiders is the biggest one right now, but there was Tarkov before that, and there's like a few different sort of takes on that, where it's like you enter an area, you try to extract resources without dying, and like take it back, or a combination of the two. So the other game is called Arc Raiders, and so that kind of
I heard all that.
yeah. So it kind of suggests that it's like more an extraction shooter. And the only catch there is that the whole thing with an extraction shooter is that it's competitive multiplayer environment, and this kind of seems like it's more single player focused. So it seems
that's
like
the only thing that we know.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Player.
So hypothetically, so there's been like these like little like leaks or whatever, or like there was like the U.S. Trademark Office publication date of March 10th. Which was previously February something, but they retracted that. Now it's been March 10th. Now that's notable because it's Mario Day, MAR10 Mario. And so there's probably going to be a direct then, and it would make sense that they would be, because there's a few things going on. It's Mario Day. It's the 40th anniversary of Zelda. We haven't heard anything about Raiders since Switch 2 came out. So there's probably going to be a direct early March. On the 10th, presumably.
Hopefully.
And so it would be interesting to see like what the timeline is for the game. I think they probably need to have it out this year. I don't think they could push it into 2027. So we'll probably see it this year. I'm kind of curious too how it will impact Splatoon 4, like the timeline for it. Because they've clearly like, if Splatoon 4 was imminent, they may have not done the 11.0 update.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think it's too early. I think we had a combo.
Yeah.
In your stream, if you remember.
Yeah.
That you felt like why would we feel early? Like if you wanna like talk about that, we can do that.
Yeah, I mean, the gist of it was, I think you were saying. Well, why don't you like restate what your position was on that? Like what why they should wait or.
That like it's just based on like my perspective of how they have done Nintendo games in general, and specifically this game.
Yeah.
I think everybody can agree that, or I mean, some people can agree that Splatoon 3 felt kind of rushed.
Mm-hmm.
But like at the same time, I don't really blame them because like there was a whole pandemic in the middle of the development. So like that's actually something that is going to contribute to like the game not being polished at the beginning. Because I don't know if you recall, like, but the game at the beginning was like had a decent amount of bugs and like connectivity issues like crazy.
It was pretty bare bones
if the lag
too.
In this game, if the game is kind of laggy sometimes in this game, like in this day and age, like on release it was horrible. Yeah. It was terrible.
It was a bad situation too because it won like multiplayer game of the year, and so a bunch of people tried it, and it was the worst time to play
ironic.
it. Yeah,
so ironic. Yes.
It's funny. It's funny though on that specific point, the rush thing, because like I didn't even know this because I didn't play 1, but apparently it was only 2 years between Splat 1 and Splat 2, and it was 5 years between 2 and 3.
But for me, I think the formula is different because, like, in my opinion, I think they use Wii U games as a prototype of like what IPs are still good to do, even though the console was doomed from the beginning.
Yeah.
And since the formula was already kind of established for like many games, like for instance Mario Maker, Mario Kart 8, and even Splatoon, it was easy to transition those games to like a new system. Probably, obviously, I'm pretty sure there is like a lot of things to consider coming from one system to another. But I guess also like the development of like creating a game, creating an idea and all that, like it's already done because like the game already existed. We are just simply adapting it to a new system. So I think that's what they did from Splatoon 1 to 2, because even though it's completely different and it looks different, like the concept of coming up with a new IP of something completely different than Nintendo has ever done before, like it kind of worked in Wii U. So like transitioning to Splatoon 2, it was just gonna be easier for me, I think. It's
pretty funny. Mongoose says 2015 and 17, but nobody played Wii U. That's pretty funny. I actually was shocked to learn. I mean, I hadn't even thought about it, but on Wii U, I guess like the map on the controller played a pretty significant role because like it was just always there, And I didn't even think about it, but somebody said, I think maybe it was Ryan said that like you could just tap where you wanted the strikes to go, or maybe Zuka.
Yeah. And the pad, the screen.
Yeah, which is like that's not like a thing anymore. But that's like it's kind of funny that was you can't. There's no touch screen. I don't play handheld.
No,
but there's no touch screen on Splat 3. Yeah. Actually, I mean it's funny. Like going back to the thing you said about the rushed and the COVID thing. I actually have this sort of like I don't know. It's conspiracy theory is like the wrong term, but just sort of I guess theory. I think they probably actually planned S3 for Switch 2, and there was like murmurings about the fact that because this is the longest from Switch 1 to Switch 2 is the longest gap there has ever been for Nintendo hardware, but it was right in the middle of COVID. So I think what may have happened is because of the screwed up development timelines because of COVID and because of the supply chain complexities, they may have literally pushed Switch 2 back by 2 years. And if that was the case, and it was like they intended for S3 to launch with Switch 2, they may have had to backport a significant portion of the code base back to Switch 1. And that would explain why there was 2 releases of the same series on the same hardware, why it felt a little bit rushed. And it would also explain why Salmon Run is so unplayable on Switch 1. And the fact that it was such a kind of quick, let's say, upgrade for, I think it was 10.0, right? That like did all the 4K visuals and everything like that. I think that maybe kind of reinforces the fact that it was planned for Switch 2. But if that was the case, then I'm like reflecting on my own experiences working on big software projects. They probably had a huge, none of this may be true. This is all speculation on my part, but let's say just,
we are never going to know what happened behind the scenes.
But just for fun, let's say this was the case. It would explain why a lot of stuff was very sort of like not quite working right at launch because their focus shifted from polish to holy crap, we've got to get this thing working on like very old hardware, you know? And that would explain what some of the major features, like I don't think even X-Rank was available in initial release, right?
No.
Yeah. So a bunch of that stuff may have just taken a back seat, but they couldn't, maybe they felt they'd announced it, so they couldn't wait any longer. But that would, it is kind of odd that there was 2 versions released on the same hardware, right? Like typically that would not be the case. I don't know.
Yeah. When they announced Splatoon 3, I was so flabbergasted.
Yeah.
Half because like, yes, a new game, oh my god, but also because it was on the same on the same system. I was even worried at first that like they decided to do that because I felt that it was gonna backlash in some way. Like I kept it to myself. I didn't want to say anything, but I really felt that like it was not the move. I felt like it should have been in a different console, and maybe they tried to do that, like what you just presented, that because of like the pandemic and all that. There might have been plans of having Splatoon 3 on Switch 2 instead, but like, yeah. It ended up being like that.
What do you think? Like, what do you think the most? Not in terms of let's say features per se. It could be features too, but like mostly like. What do you think the most important fundamental thing to improve for Splat 4 is? Like, what is the thing that would make or break the game for you?
I think this is my hot take, I guess, or like people can disagree with me. I think the formula of like Splatoon, like the base thing of Splatoon or what it is, I think is fine. I like that it's a game about like controlling ground and painting with your guns and all that. I think that's fine, but there has to be some sort of like unique thing that has never been seen in Splatoon. That like when you switch to one game to the other, like to Splatoon 4 to the other one, it just genuinely feels like a completely new experience. And I think one of the easiest ways that they can do that is that they just simply create completely new game modes.
So what? Let me. I'm just curious. Like to like zoom in on that for a second. I'm just curious. Like why? What makes you say?
Why change it too much?
Yeah. Like what's the motivation there? Do you think?
I just feel like games have to evolve in order to not only incentivize the current player base to keep playing it, but also bring new ones. And I think like I feel personally like the current state of like esports and games is that in within years they are changing so dramatically that they're no longer the same games. I think that standard is already pretty well established in many competitive games. With Splatoon, it kind of doesn't feel like that, in my opinion. Like, I feel like you can still play Splatoon 3 the same way that you always play Splatoon 1 because so many things have changed very little, if not anything at all. Like, for instance, Zones, Tower play exactly the same. And Rainmaker just changed like the checkpoint system, where it's still kind of like the same game mode that it has always been for 15 years. And Clams is just Clams. Like let's just not even talk about that game mode,
Yeah.
right?
I like Clams. Yeah.
Whereas like let's just bring an example of something that I feel like kind of fits on my argument here. It might not be the same game, but it kind of fits what I'm trying to say. I just think like the way that they approach Street Fighter games, for instance, is kind of like what I want Splatoon to be. Like Street Fighter 2 from Street Fighter 3 is completely different. It plays different, it looks different, it has different characters. Like there is even variant characters that are not even in the game in Splatoon in Street Fighter 3 because they create new characters that have an expansion on what some archetypes were created in Street Fighter. Street Fighter 3 is completely different than Street Fighter 4 because, again, the new system is different, like the mechanics are different, the way that the game looks is different. Everything is just different. Same with Street Fighter 5 and same with Street Fighter 6. Like the games are just fundamentally visually different and gameplay differently. When it comes to Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3, in my opinion, the games play kinda the same. They feel kind of the same and kind of look the same. The only difference is, like, I guess the camera works a little bit different because when I went back to Splatoon 2, actually I was surprised that by just moving my stick for like 1 second, the camera is already turning like that, so randomly, and I was like, what the hell? Like those who have played Pvs with me on Splatoon 2 know what I'm talking about. So like they have made quality of life changes, but not substantial big changes that make me feel, oh my god, yeah, I could never go back to Splatoon 3 because this game is just so completely different that it just brings me a new experience. Or people could say, I don't even want to play Splatoon 4 because it's just so different than Splatoon 3 that like it just doesn't feel like the same game anymore or whatever. Like that could be an argument that you could say, no, people could feel like that.
Yeah.
That no, Splatoon just doesn't feel the same way with the new direction that I come in, but I think it's a sacrifice worth making in order to keep the franchise alive. Because I don't want Splatoon to become the Call of Duty of Nintendo, if that makes sense.
It's like it's funny.
The thing that I don't want is like to keep releasing new Splatoons every 2 or 3 years that they just add new weapons, new maps, and I guess 1 or 2 new fancy flashy things, and that's it. If that makes sense. That's my whole reasoning as to why I want like more time on development and more new things to like look forward outside of just like add-ons, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's funny when I went back to, like when the S3 server goes down, I think a lot of people play S2. And so that's my main interaction with it. Every single time I go back to S2, I'm like, wow, this feels so slow. It feels like crazy, crazy slow. And it definitely feels like in many ways like a prototype of S3. And so it's like, but at the same time, I remember at the time 3 came out, I was playing Turf War only in 2. And I definitely remember having the take that you have now, which is like I went from 2 and then started playing 3. I remember telling my coworkers it's extremely similar. But in retrospect, now going the other direction, it feels very different. And I don't know if it's just because it's got so many changes and some of this is probably tied up in that whole code thing. But it's funny because you're saying some of this is like kind of like there's like a meta thing, not like a competitive meta, but like a IRL meta thing, which is
game
like
development meta.
Yeah, kind of like what is their goal? Like, what do you think their goal is as a company? Because I think ultimately their goal there's always like these like at least two competing priorities. One is like creative, evolution or like game design evolution.
Prowess, evolution.
But then the other very realistic one is like financial or industry success, let's say, because if the game is creatively a step forward but it's unsuccessful, then it effectively kills the series and then you get nothing. And Overwatch actually I think came pretty close to, I'm not super dialed into Overwatch, but I was like some friends are, and they had Overwatch 2, and it was a disaster. I mean, it was like the biggest disaster a game of this type has ever had. And it's because it was a combination of factors. From what I understand, it was like they went in a very different direction. There was going to be a single player focus to it, and it was like there was like protracted development times, but it was like a huge change. And they pulled back on almost all of it and effectively saved the game. To the degree that actually like Nova Zari was playing Overwatch recently, and I noticed like the category in Switch was Overwatch. I was like, isn't it Overwatch 2? And they're like, oh yeah, we don't talk about that. They basically just like pulled it so far back that it just became Overwatch. And so it's funny when you talk about
they dropped the 2.
Yeah. So it's funny when you talk about you don't want it to be Call of Duty, but it's interesting because I think Nintendo would want it to be, from a success perspective. I think that's.
I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And it's interesting if you could choose. This is like a question I have for you. If you could choose, Splatoon is so popular that it's on the level of Call of Duty, or like in that zip code, like maybe not exactly that popular, but like dramatically more popular than it is now. But it was more similar to what we have in this game, like an evolution versus a less popular game, but a dramatic overhaul. Which one would you choose?
I think the latter.
Really? So even if you didn't have people to play
the
with of like a comparable skill level, because that's the big thing. It's not like the conceptual, is it popular? Do I play a popular game? It's like, can I play the game? That's the way I think about it.
Yeah.
Like, would you you'd be in the Tenatech X matchmaking situation, right? That's the problem with multiplayer.
Yeah. You know why I say that? Because we already are there. Like we already are like a super niche game that is not really well like popular, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I guess you wanna like have more people to play the game, right? So there is more incentive to have better matchmaking and all that. And obviously, all the things that come down to like come with like having a way popular game that like we have more people in our streams, or like we have more opportunities to find new people to meet them and all that. Like, and also, I understand that there is like economic incentive, let's say, or capital incentive for companies to like make the most like profitable product as possible, so that like they can get their surplus value and all those things. But like I think the concept of Splatoon is meant to be revolutionary.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like Splatoon is not meant to be a Call of Duty, because like by concept Splatoon is just unique. Like who would have thought like about a shooter where like humanoid squids and octopuses are shooting ink to one another on weapons that resemble like real life objects of daily use, that just completely overhauls the way that we understand like shooters in general.
Yeah.
Like if they wanted to do something successful, like they would try to do like a Call of Duty copy.
Yeah.
Right. But I think Nintendo knows their place. Nintendo knows what the kind of company they are known for,
mm-hmm.
which is like the company that innovates, like the company that always reshapes genres and makes new things. So, like if we are going through that like philosophy, like why are we not doing that with Splatoon, right? Like why are we still sticking with the same concept just because it feels safe, right? I know there is monetary incentive, but like I don't think they had too much to lose, because if we go back to the example of Street Fighter 5 was a total disaster. It was completely terrible. On launch, it had a lot of lag. The balancing was terrible. The competition was like a lot of people were complaining that there were a lot of problems with crossplay. It was a complete disaster, even if they tried to do new things like new mechanics and all that. But and I think Capcom got a big hit from that, from like trying to do what they did with Street Fighter 5. Then Street Fighter 6 came on, completely different. Like I think they learned from their mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
They understood what worked and what didn't work. And I think Street Fighter series regarded by many as like the best Street Fighter in history.
So was
I
6?
think Nintendo could do that with Splatoon.
Was 6 closer to 4 or different than all of them?
I think Street Fighter 6. I just don't know how like
Because I think
close.
based on the way you,
I guess it could be close to 4.
yeah,
I think it could be close to Street Fighter 4, but like I just think it's unique in its own way.
because
It has different mechanics, different ways to play it, and even has like game modes that were never present in like a Street Fighter. Like there is like casual modes,
Yeah.
like something that was never thought of like in Street Fighter. Like there is like more arcade game modes.
Because the way you're describing it, I would assume that whoops, I didn't mean to do that. The way that you're describing it is that I assume Capcom would like to have skipped the 5 experience of it being bad.
Yeah, exactly. No,
so
yeah,
so it's interesting because like I think in some ways, I mean, I just don't know enough about Street Fighter, but using Overwatch as an example, they went too far in the other direction from what people wanted from the game, and they corrected by bringing it back to the original roots of it. And so it's tricky because like from, I don't know, I've heard some people say like, you know, the philosophical thing is, do you want better or different? Because sometimes because they're not necessarily the same, right? Like you could have different but not better. But from what you're saying, it sounds like you're more willing to gamble on different whether or not it's better. But it might be tricky because it's in some ways Splatoon.
Better for who though? Like that's the question. Like better for who?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Like for them, in order to gain like monetary incentive, yeah.
Oh, I guess I meant more in terms of
like
player. Yeah, like more like player. You know, like they could end up with a Street Fighter 5 easily. I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah,
I know what you mean now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like they could veer too far from like what makes the game fun, even if it's different.
I get it. I get it.
And so like it would be interesting. You know, they're probably like 11.0 is like a really good example, right? Pretty risky at this point in the game to make such drastic changes, but I think upon reflection, basically everybody agrees that overall the changes were good, you know, like on the whole, right? And so I feel like they might take that tact where rather than, you know, go as far as you can while still keeping the spirit of the game. Because I just, as you were talking about like, you know, completely overhauling, making a totally different game and all that kind of stuff. It's funny because like if you zoom back like 40 minutes, you were talking about like they can't take out sub-strafing, you know, because people would be so upset. And Ty was like ready to uninstall the game because of stealth jump.
I'm even down. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say that. I'm even down for things like sub-strafing to not exist and many other things that I'm used to doing.
Yeah.
So long as the game, number one, feels different.
Yeah.
It's like it brings a completely new experience. And overall, just like, yeah, it just feels like something new. Like I'm willing to do that.
You want it to not feel like the same game. I think it's kind of like the summary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get
like,
that. Yeah.
But like from the way that they have done these past games, like from 2 and 3,
yeah,
like it feels that they don't really want to do that.
I just saw that.
I don't know.
Mongoose said Splatoon COD of Duty. That's amazing. Let me try to catch up with these.
Like pretty much. Why won't they do that instead?
Him says, I hope that with the making of Raiders and Wind and Waves, the people at Nintendo understand that nostalgia is nice. Game being built around it is not just nothing, that there needs to be something new to bring new players and excite. Yeah, I think that's true. That's totally true. Ore farming wasn't the change we deserved, but it was the change we needed right now. That's interesting. Good example, but not better in my opinion, is Mario Kart World. It's a difference from the standard racing game. Fell a bit short. Yeah, that's actually, that is a really good example.
Great example.
Yeah.
I think this will be understood by many other people.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people had mixed feelings about Mario Kart World.
Yeah.
Some people say that they don't like the way that like what are they called? Like the long roads. Like
I know what you mean. Yeah.
One lap.
Yeah. I don't know what the word is.
Compared to like 3 laps.
Yeah.
Like some people don't really like them, others do like it. Again, it's a risk that that specific team of Mario Kart World did, and for some people it paid out well, for others it didn't. We will see later on in years how well it turned out economically, which I think is gonna be kind of unfair because like that game released alongside the Switch 2, so that's gonna be a little bit inflated. So maybe that was some sort of like risk assessment there to say let's launch a completely new Mario Kart, but with a completely new console, so that at least there is an incentive for people to try out the new game even if they don't like the console at first. Like maybe that was into play. Maybe I don't know.
It's funny too, but because there's no more title that would be more risky to change than Mario Kart. Mario Kart is by a clear mile the most important title that Nintendo has. I mean, it's like not even close. There's like Mario Kart, and then a huge gap, and then there's Animal Crossing, and then there's another huge gap, and then there's like everything else. It's like crazy.
Mario Kart is the Fortnite of Nintendo.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. And so like it's interesting that they were willing to gamble so much. I don't even know what like the current like player consensus is on whether it's good now or whatever. But because I don't really play Mario Kart. I'm actually curious though, like do you think between the different Smash entries, did it change dramatically?
I would say kind of so.
Yeah.
Like from Smash 64 to Melee, yeah, it feels completely different. Again,
In a good way. In a good way.
In a good way, like it increased a lot of there were like new mechanics and new game modes and all that from Melee to Brawl.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it was there was things like the subspace mystery, and like again like more characters and all that. Yeah, I would say like in general from Brawl, also too from Smash 4 and 3DS, kind of like a great improvement. Probably Smash Wii U 3DS to Ultimate doesn't feel that much different. But like I think it got away with it by having like a bunch of characters and having the slogan of everyone is here.
And a lot of people didn't play Wii U anyway, right?
And and also nobody played that too much, so like it kind of helped out a little bit there. But like I'm glad that Octostitch brought Mario Kart World as an example, because as you can see, even the best franchise that Nintendo has, like, is willing to make some risks into reshaping the formula.
Yeah.
Even if that takes a lot of people are not gonna like it. So why Splatoon is not doing it?
Well,
like,
we don't know that. Yeah, we don't know they're not going to. I mean, we're all just completely speculating. Because it was like the COVID thing just kind of really screwed with everything. So it's hard to know. Like, you know, they haven't even announced Splatoon 4. But it's like, and
we don't know.
It's funny getting back to the original thing. I'm kind of curious. Here, I'll tell you. Give you an example. I think the most important thing. And it wouldn't be enough to just do this, but the most important thing Splatoon 4 needs to do is to change the networking architecture, because
oh my god, yes, please,
because it undermines the whole thing.
Me,
yeah
if everything will convince me that they actually changed the game, even if it is literally a copy paste of Splatoon 3, is if the online just works different.
Right, because it's like we're accustomed to it, that like, oh yeah, it's like every 3 matches somebody will DC and the game starts over, but like that's not normal. Yes. You know, it's like nobody really tolerates that, and you know, in the long run. And I kind of have, again, it's just like, it's always going to go back to my like personal experience with like corporate world. I sort of have this intuition based on my personal experiences that, you know, the different development teams, just based on the way big companies work, different development teams probably have to do like capital planning, which is like basically, you know, tell Nintendo proper like how much money they need to do a release, and like how much money they need for a year. And I don't know if it works the same in Japan, but I'm guessing it kind of does. And they have to probably pitch, you know, to the top executives. It's like, we're going to spend X million on this. It's going to release on, you know, June 2027 or whatever. And this is the outlay of cost, and this is the expected player base that we'll have for it. Because you know, ultimately, it's a public company. You know, like we talk about like, you know the you know, they shouldn't prioritize income so much, but it's not like a family business. You know, it's like a publicly owned company. And at least in the US, you're legally required to act in the interest of shareholders. That's why there's like an SEC and all that kind of stuff. So they do have to, and that's why the business has been around for 150 years also. So they have to think about the practical operational realities of, oh, Felix, thanks so much for the raid, by the way. You're here just in time for the first podcast. We're deep in it too. We're like in the financial. I think
we are 2 hours in.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like we're just like we're gonna have to do an episode 2, I think.
Yeah, I think.
But
I'll be glad.
Yeah.
I'll gladly be there.
But like, just to Felix, hope you had a good stream. Thanks so much for the raid. But basically, like I assume they have to do like capital planning, or like basically pitch, you know, how much money they need and what the investment's going to be and what the impact will be on the business. And so I kind of think one of their challenges may have been, because Nintendo is primarily a single player game company, right? Like the overwhelming, there's Mario Kart, which is, maybe this is kind of contradictory to what I said, but like Mario Kart, Smash, and Splatoon are kind of the exceptions. The most of their games are single player games, Donkey Kong, Mario Kart, or sorry, Mario proper, Zelda.
That's true, yeah. I
and
never thought about it like that, yeah.
and so probably most of the brain trust, like the engineering talent, is around that, and they probably don't have a ton of experience running. I don't know. This may be untrue just because of Mario Kart, but they probably don't have a ton of experience running server-based games, and so they may have just
because
I don't know. I don't know what Smash's architecture is, but I think we've seen
it's just as bad.
Yeah,
it's just as bad.
So I think we've seen that like it just doesn't work at this point when you have such frequent DCs, and that's not even counting the ones where you're like, it doesn't DC, but the experience is bad. Where you have somebody like die and then 10 seconds later they kill you, or something like that. So I think that's the one like required thing they've got to if they announce Splatoon 4 and we launch it in day one and it's still P2P, basically the same architecture, I think it's going to be pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah, like it is already a common trope, or like a joke, like a long running joke, that Nintendo's online services in all aspects, in all games, are just terrible.
Yeah,
and like if they were to do something like good for any game, doesn't matter if it is Splatoon, I think it will be like revolutionary, not for Nintendo but for gaming as a whole, because nobody will ever expect Nintendo to do good online services ever, because of maybe what you are saying, that maybe they don't have that much experience. So perhaps, I don't know if this is possible or if it makes sense, maybe they should delegate it to someone else, like another company. I think work around someone.
Yeah, I mean it's funny because I mean you obviously have some engineering experience, but I do as well, and there's two major parts. One is like the actual game architecture, like how the game communicates with other consoles. But even for the matchmaking server, how it communicates with it. And then the second part, so it's like how you write the game, or like the actual code running the game. But then the whole separate part is like actually operationally running the servers, running the service, and like how the updates are applied and like how you do matchmaking. They could potentially outsource the second part, which is like somebody runs the thing, like have Microsoft do it or whatever. And they may even do that to some degree. Who knows? But
I mean, perhaps.
What's that?
We don't know.
Yeah, but the part where the game itself has a certain amount of built-in netcode, I don't think they can outsource that probably, because it's so fundamental to what the game is. They'd be outsourcing the game effectively at that point.
Okay, I get it. Okay.
But both of those things are hyper important to get right, and they have to work together. So I think they would have to. Yeah, it's a tricky thing, but I think I would still obviously play the game and probably still enjoy it if they didn't do that. But I think if the game's going to run for at least, they just shut down last year, a year before they shut down Splatoon 1. And so if the next game is going to run at least until 8 years from now into the future, presuming it'll be like 5 to 7 years after announcement, then they can't run that probably with a bad networking stack for that long.
Yeah, please. Oh my god. I will do everything. Like I will even like let go of what I said about like overhauling what Splatoon even is, or like making completely new changes and all that.
Yeah.
If you can ensure me that the online is actually gonna be insanely good. Like insanely good. It can be literally just Splatoon 3 again, but great online, because it will actually feel like a new game almost.
It's funny.
Almost better.
And it's funny because like the whole like not make it too similar thing. The thing that I think you and I originally talked about on like just a regular stream was like you had a lot of stuff you wanted to still do in 3, right? Like I think that was one of the reasons you didn't want it to come soon.
Also that, I didn't mention it, but yeah, that also.
And I
would like to achieve like many other goals, and like if there were to come another game like on the way, I would feel like I didn't achieve that on time, because now I have to move on to the next one and all that. But that's more of a like a selfish reasoning.
Yeah.
Not really like important, because if a new game were to be announced tomorrow, I mean, I would be more excited about that.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah,
less preoccupied than
it always
actually-
seems like a bad idea until like they announce it, and then they announce all the stuff, and it's like, no, screw it. It's funny because Ryan said something similar where she was like, I don't want to get on my like Grisco boss, king kills again. I hope they preserve them. I was like, yeah, there's no way they're going to do that. They're not going to like maintain all your like badges and everything like that. But I think, I think the biggest challenge they have is that, like, I totally understand the like, take your time and like make it something different, all that stuff. But I think also back to like the practical IRL reality is that the longer it is into like every day that goes by that 4 is not announced, the smaller the user base becomes. And I think they may have. Somebody mentioned this and it kind of like kicked off a thought in my head, which is that if there's some critical mass that the 3 player base could fall to, that would affect the success of Raiders. And I don't know how many resources they've invested in Raiders or like how big of a title they expect it to be, but it's big enough that they're announcing it at least a year ahead of time. And, I think they probably realize that they have to keep the game viable. And they have a limited lifespan on 3. Although, now that said, 11.0 has changed that a bit. Like I think they have reset expectations about how big of a change 3 can have, while still being technically 3.0, or, not 3.0, but being like Splatoon 3. And they might do a few more of those of that caliber.
I hope they do.
Do you think they'll have new 3rd kits again?
I think they should, because I mean, I see it possible because I don't know if you have seen this. I mean, usually Nintendo is very petty with people who do kind of like modding or like a false
data
advertisement
mine.
of things about their games,
Yeah.
or like data mining and stuff. They also that too, but the reason I'm saying that is because I remember I saw a post of someone that discovered that Nintendo took down, out of many of the Splatoon 3 mods that exist, one very specific one, which was the Sheldon picks. The Sheldon picks are like, I don't know if you have, because it's a Splatoon 2 thing. The Sheldon picks are like a wave of third kits or like new weapon kits from Splatoon 1 and 2, which are like, are just simply new weapons, new kits that are like designed by Sheldon, like the guy that sells you weapons in the game. And they have like different designs and all that. And they have been a thing since Splatoon 1. Like Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2 have Sheldon picks, but this game does not have them. And like it was interesting that they took down that specific mod outside of many of the other mods that exist in the Splatoon 3 database of mods or something like that.
Yeah.
So like that makes me feel that they are planning on doing third kits or even like Sheldon picks in the future, because I mean, again, maybe it's bad that I say this because I don't have experience. It's not good to assume, but I just don't know why it's that hard to make the third kits.
I mean,
like,
there's.
I mean, on a surface level, what I see is that it's just the same weapon, but with a reskin on top of it, and like just a array of like, I don't know, of like a set of a weapon, of a sub and a special attached to that code or like that node of weapon. And that's it. Like the only thing that will take a lot of time, I guess, is the design of the skin.
I think that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because the other things are already there. You just have to link Slosher, let's say, to a new set of sub and special. And that's it. So I just don't know why they are taking too long. I guess my guess is that they are waiting for like a better moment to do that, like they release Raiders or something like that.
I think it's interesting. I mean, I think all that, those are all interesting insights. I think probably the two big things are, well, three big things. One is literally just the design work that goes into it, which I would personally be hesitant to minimize, like, because that's, to your point, you don't want them to rush things, and like you could even argue like the custom weapons that just have the sticker on them are not very exciting. But I think I kind of like the rugged kits that had like I don't even know if they were in S2, but the ones that are like the outdoorsy ones. I think those are like really interesting designs. So like the sticker stamper, like those are actually
all of the new ones from version 10.
Yeah,
Yeah, they look so sick.
And I think they care
So
about that.
freaking-
So I think they probably want to do that level of like fidelity.
Well, maybe it does take that long.
Yeah.
Maybe. So
So there's
maybe
that,
I'm
and then
talking out
obviously
of
they need to
place.
consider the balance stuff. But probably the other thing too is the other thing that you just said, which is like they want to like not, they want to get the maximum value from it. So if they do it like if they do 11.0 and then immediately right after, like let's say today, if they did another third kit thing, then they'd be kind of potentially losing some of the impact from it. Where they maybe want to space it out a little bit and kind of like make it because rather than spending all the resources in one place, But yeah,
Perhaps
I
not,
mean, I think, yeah, from a technical perspective, if they didn't care about the presentation and they didn't care about the sort of the marketing or the balance or whatever, yeah, of course it would just be like add like a new array of stuff. But I think it's probably that, yeah, for the reasons we've talked about, it's like that stuff kind of matters to people. I don't know. I think it's, yeah, because some of the new weapons do look really cool. Like, I mean, they're like, it's like.
True. Very nice. But like, yeah, but I think we both can agree, right? That I think it is very likely.
Yeah, I think it's like. What did Octus say?
When exactly? We don't know, but
yeah, we don't know. Octus said I would need to recheck the source, but there was an interview recently where Nintendo mentioned that because of Switch 2 graphics, the dev time has increased exponentially. So they will be splitting their teams to work on new games and update pre-existing teams to keep customers happy until new games. That makes sense. Yeah, actually, that was the other thing I didn't even mention, which is that, yeah, again, working on multiple, like personally, I've worked on like multiple hardware platforms that are quite different at the same time with the same product. And they probably actually have a really tricky thing right now because it's hard enough to get a single piece of software to work on two completely separate architectures on an ongoing basis, but trying to keep those both in sync at millisecond level is actually really hard. And I think that might actually be part of the reason that the DC rate has increased is because they're basically straddling two completely different hardware architectures through not emulation, I forget what the translation. So that might be part of it.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the less I realize that I am appreciative of that.
Yeah.
Because it must be crazy hard.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like making crossplay, almost.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Like crossplay on different systems. Because even if they are made by the same company, yeah, fundamentally, perhaps the Switch 1 and the 2 are just completely like different systems. Yeah.
Do you? I wonder if maybe do you want to pause here for now and then do like an episode 2? Because I feel like I could easily go for like another 2 hours.
Yeah, me too. But up to you, bro.
Yeah,
Because
I don't know. I
having a
think it might be
blast,
good
I'm loving
to.
it.
Yeah, because especially since I think we sorted out some of the like the audio issues and stuff like that. Let me see if anybody else just like real quick said anything else. Obviously, so it's hard to know because of all of Nintendo's games they outsource to their subsidiaries. Monolith Soft, who makes Xenoblade. Oh, that's interesting. Contributed a lot of the art to Splatoon, Animal Crossing, Mario games. Yeah, that's interesting. Oh, it is interesting too, as like just like a final thought or whatever. I think for a while, a lot of us maybe had the impression that Nintendo had not really forgotten about Splatoon, but like had decided not really to emphasize it. But there have been a couple interesting developments. Like they restarted NA League. They did this massive update, obviously. They included a lot of in the Animal Crossing update, they had a lot of the Splatoon stuff. And the thing that maybe not a lot of people see, but I see because I'm near San Francisco, when they launched the Nintendo San Francisco store, they only had, I think, a maximum 6 properties, 6 IP that were visible like in the branding, like on the bags, the shopping bags, and like on the store windows. It was like, and not even Metroid made that cut. So it was like Mario, Zelda, Pikmin, Pokemon, and Splatoon, and I think maybe one other one that I'm forgetting. And that is premium real estate from their perspective. So it's clear that, and then there's Raiders, obviously. So it's clear that they take it really seriously and they intend to invest in it fully. And that seems to be kind of a change, at least externally, because for a while they were not doing that. It felt like maybe they kind of forgotten about it, but that, I don't know. It looks like if you go to if you zoom back like 6 months, it feels like there's a lot more interest in this from Nintendo than there was
definitely.
like 6 months ago.
Definitely. Because like if we think about the last time they tried to do a new IP, like it just failed tremendously. I'm talking about ARMS.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Oh, I actually really like that game.
Yeah,
it was. I can understand why it wasn't popular, but like I actually enjoyed playing it. I think it was fun.
Yeah, I had a friend that also liked it, and it's kind of like a fan of the series.
Yeah,
like the fandom that is around it. But like, yeah, when it comes to like the success of the series, under the ground.
And it's a
Like,
huge. I mean, that's actually an
and-
interesting example of something that was like probably a huge gamble for them. And it didn't pay off. Like unless they like redo it or
with
whatever.
Splatoon it did.
Yeah.
And with Splatoon it did. So like it makes sense that they're like this.
Yeah, I feel like we could definitely do like another session
I'm
but
down, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate
Just hit me up.
Sorry, by the way, sorry if we didn't like totally, or at least if I didn't totally keep up with like all the chat and everything. Because this is like I was like hyper focused on like the technical aspects of trying to get all this to work. But I really appreciate everybody like sharing their thoughts and everything.
But great first episode, bro. I think overall, like it was very well managed.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of fun, bro.
Yeah,
I hope people also liked it.
Yeah, and if anybody like on Discord later or on either of our streams or whatever, like definitely super interested in whatever you like feedback that you have, and thanks for helping with the audio. I hope after the first 15 minutes or whatever, I didn't realize the audio level was so low for Decker, so whatever. That's obviously going to be the type of thing that's wrong initially. But yeah, if you have any other feedback like that or like topics or like maybe I don't know something like that, I think that I had a really good time, and I really appreciate having Decker here.
Too.
If you're not already, if there's any chance anybody's not already following Decker, please do. He's a super amazing Splatoon streamer, and there aren't that many sort of like Latino Splatoon streamers, at least that I know of. Although I found out, Cuppy told me that that Julie, Adorable Weapon of Doom, actually is like Puerto Rican, and
yeah.
But I don't think she kind of like. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to mention. Yeah, while because you mentioned it at the beginning, that it is not too common to have like Latino representation here in Splatoon.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention that, it is very true. And I would say one of the things that motivate me a lot to like be a streamer or content creator or a player in general is that like I want to give more visibility to the Latin American scene, both like the fans and also the people who compete, and overall every person who is involved in Splatoon. Because we are a decent amount of people. We are just hidden down there because like language barrier, and like we don't like mainly because of language barrier and because we don't have that many people that are like successful in the platform, like for instance here in Twitch, that are of that nationality. If I were to mention other people who I think are also very worth following that are of Latin American descendancy, you mentioned one like Adorable Weapon of Doom, like that's a great streamer to follow. I don't know if you have heard about Cephalorock.
Yeah.
Another great like Splatoon streamer as well. She's also Mexican, and I think it's kind of like me too. Like, I think she also lives in Mexico.
That's interesting.
And she mainly speaks in English, but like, like her audience is mainly on English. And there might be more people, like also other of my great friends, like Arizona, like my great
Elizabeth.
My great Lesiban, another new streamer that is coming along, La Chicana, and many of my other like great friends of Puerto Rico, like Etalcino and Chino PR, and also great streamers to follow. We are in comparison not as many as like the Americans or like the Europeans, but like we are definitely coming on top on the scene, and I hopefully in like the upcoming years we can have like more presence and more opportunity for people of like Latin American places to like be motivated to stream and all that.
Yeah, next something we didn't get, like I actually had like a fairly long list of things we didn't get to because we ended up having like a really interesting discussion about the stuff we did bring up. But yeah, that was actually something else I'd love to talk to you about next time, is like, how somebody runs into Splatoon and like Nintendo, like what the experience is like different growing up with it, like in Latin America and Mexico, but we'll say that for next time.
Yeah, there's a lot of to talk about, but yeah, maybe next time.
Wait, what is Ty saying? He is crazy? Wait, which one? Sitting down.
Wait,
I'm sitting down. Oh, okay, gotcha. Hey, everybody, thanks so much for being here. I guess we'll call it here for this one, but we'll do it again soon. And because there was a lot of stuff we didn't quite get to, but I hope you all had fun. Thanks so much for being here, Felix and Kai. Thank you so much for the raids. And I'll figure out some way to put this up on YouTube if people want to like check it out. But yeah, very interested in like feedback or like topics or like things we could do better or whatever. So like please do share that. I'll probably personally be back a little bit later to play. I don't think Decker's streaming later today. But,
no, I'm not streaming today.
But let's how about we raid Nova. Nova is, I think, getting over a cold, so we can help them feel better. I think they're playing
nice.
golden rotation right now. But yeah, thanks everybody for being here. If you wouldn't mind grabbing the raid message, one of the oops. Oh, I can't do it because the firebot thing is off right now. I don't think. Let me turn it on real fast. But yeah, I'll oh yeah, here's the YouTube thing, by the way. I'll post the channel. I haven't posted anything there recently, but I'll post this. There you go. Thanks so much, Ryan. And there's the YouTube link if you want to check that out when it gets posted later. Yeah, if you could grab one of the raid messages. First one's if you got a sub. Second one is if you do not have a sub, and we'll raid Nova. All right, Decker. Thanks again. Tam, so good to have you.
Thank you, Tam as well.
Take care.
Thank you, everyone.